Hello everyone, I'm Mr. Insanity, Toby Klein, and tonight I'm joined by a very special guest.
I'm so special I should be wearing a helmet.
It is in fact the Deranged One, Brandon Lee. How are you this evening, sir?
Good evening.
Over the course of my 20-year career, I have been joined for 18 of it by this man right here. And we've traveled all over the U.S. together. We've both toured Japan. We've become somewhat of, I guess you could say, legends in the deathmatch world.
Legends in our own minds, at the very least. It's funny, though. I was telling somebody this afternoon that, out of all the people in the world, I think I've spent the most time ever with, you and Marvin. Between the traveling and the hanging out and sleeping in vans and parking lots outside of venues.
Places we weren't even sure. Yeah. We didn't even know where we were when we parked the vehicles some nights.
Yeah. But even with my own family and stuff, I think I've spent more time with, well, especially you and Marvin also, but I think I've spent more time with you than anyone else in the whole world.
And that can get ugly real quick.
Especially 4 o'clock in the morning on 90.
Or trying to cross from Delaware into Maryland on a bridge with none other than the necro butcher sleeping in the bed of the truck.
And a sobriety checkpoint ahead of us.
Many interesting travels over the years. So when you first got into wrestling, did you see yourself becoming a part of the deathmatch wrestling scene?
I didn't even know what deathmatch wrestling was at the time. I probably would have never known what deathmatch wrestling was if it wasn't for you. I still remember my first training session too. I was already in the ring working out and stuff, and lo and behold, someone runs in and starts doing cross patterns in the middle of the ring while I'm trying to train.
That wasn't me, was it? So the beginning was at a gym in Shelby, Ohio, owned by Kid Collins. For those that don't know, it's the American States Wrestling Alliance Training Center. Still open to this day. Today it's in Mansfield, Ohio, under the great trainer Jimmy Lee.
And a much better facility at that, too.
Yes. In fact, Jimmy Lee has a couple guys that have been used by the WWE. One
signed.
That is, at least one at this time that's currently signed, and possibly more. So he's got a great thing going in Mansfield, and that's where both of us started. Do you remember where your first show ever was? Because I do.
I do also. I can't remember the town nor the Well, it was FNW, I believe.
I think it was Cumberland, Maryland.
No,
Championship Wrestling.
No, it was not. It was for a firefighters outdoor show in Pennsylvania for T-Ranchula.
T-Ranchula, FNW, Far North Wrestling.
And I believe that I wrestled Brandon.
Crazy.
Yes. But yes, I do remember it.
That would have been your second match then.
No, Cumberland was my second or third.
And that was for Championship Wrestling, Pizza Joe.
Pizza Joe.
That was the first show that you and I wrestled on against each other, I think.
And we both had the good laugh of Even Colder tripping on the ice rink as he ran to the ring.
There was a Stone Cold Steve Austin impersonator named Even Colder. Nice guy.
Yeah, very
Great
nice guy.
But when the lights went out and the Stone Cold music hit, he fell flat on his face in more ways than one.
So, that he did.
It was a good laugh. I remember a show where the Road Dogg Jesse James no-showed, and Pizza Joe had asked me in the locker room to say, "Oh, you didn't know," to see if I could pose as the Road Dogg. So I guess he enjoyed using imposters. I did not do the imposter Road Dogg that evening, but that was probably 99, I'm guessing, early 99.
I was thinking more 2000.
Yeah.
But those so many years ago were but fuzzy memories.
Part of the reason that they are fuzzy memories is because of the deathmatch wrestling scene.
Yeah.
Do you remember who your first deathmatch was for?
Ian Rotten. Official deathmatch. We did several hardcore matches for Shasta Ballou in Canton, Ohio at old BB McLean's.
Well, fella.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, my official deathmatch debut was in 2001 at King of the Death Matches versus the late Roland Hard, RIP.
Yes, I believe I had Too Tough Tony on that particular card.
And a very good match also.
Now, did you ever win King of the Death Matches? Or was it the tag team death matches that you won?
Tag team death matches, the double death.
IWA Mid-South Double Death, and that was with your partner, the late Brain Damage.
Yes.
2008?
And 2007.
Won both of them, 2007
yes, we were
and 2008?
actually, Tremont might have been the first King of the Death Matches repeat winner, but Marvin and I were the first ever IWA repeat tournament winners.
I believe Necro and myself wrestled you guys in one of those tournaments.
2008 in opening night, yes.
Yep. Necro and myself were, of course, the tag team, the Tough Crazy Bastards, and you were Vulgar Display of Power.
Yes.
That was a knockdown, drag-out fight, to say the least.
Yes, as were typical when the four of us got in the ring together, whether being partners, four-way allies, four-way opponents.
Anytime you were in the ring with Brain Damage
or Necro,
you were in for a fist fight.
Do you remember in late 2005 when we did a fatal four-way in Indiana?
Plainfield,
Indiana, where all four of us, and we started the match off with a four-way sit-down bar brawl, or
the chair punch out. We were sitting in chairs and did a punch out. I remember it was hazy. I remember bits and pieces of it. I'm sure I had a concussion that evening.
Wasn't because of the death match wrestling that night, though.
I'm sure not. How about Japan? I know we are both alumni of Big Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yes,
I went 2005 and 2006. I believe you went
2006 and 2007.
What were your experiences over there? I know I had nothing but great experiences over there. I enjoyed the people. I enjoyed the wrestling. I had a good time.
I had don't get me wrong, it was very nice and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I wish I would have taken better advantage of it while I was there. But the first week and a half was a very big culture shock for me. I did not enjoy being cramped on the subways, the trains. I did not enjoy the little people staring at me wherever I went. But you come to accept it or flounder, I guess.
I don't know if you've seen any of the strange hazing rituals that occurred over there between the young boys, they call them. We were taking a 12-hour boat ride, a cruise ship, to Sapporo to wrestle. And as I'm sleeping with my leather jacket over my face, I hear Madman Pondo laughing beside me hysterically. And I also hear grunts and groans coming from across the room, in the sleeping room, they called it. So I didn't want to look because it didn't sound good. But Pondo was laughing hysterically, and he kept elbowing me and saying, "Toby, wake up, you got to see this." Well, apparently a young boy, I don't remember, his name escapes me at this time, but he had several of the older wrestlers holding his hands and feet down while they were doing some... my first reaction was gay. That was what I said, but... I mean, who am I to judge? It was a strange hazing ritual. I know we don't do it here in the States, so I was a little bit. That was culture shock for me, seeing some of the hazing rituals that the Japanese young boys experienced over there.
I remember we were wrestling in a parking lot in Tokyo, and Kanemaru took one of the young boys' gear and threw it on top of the BJW trailer, which also served as a wall between the locker room and the fans, but he threw it on the fan side of it, and then took the guy's gear after he got changed. So the guy actually had to go out onto the crowd side
nude
to retrieve his gear at the time, or his street clothes, I guess.
And that's Wing Canamera,
yes,
correct? Who appeared in ECW in the mid-90s.
And seemed to be the instigator of a lot of the hazing I witnessed.
Who were your favorite matches against over there?
My favorite match, I went over as a tag team, so I never really got to do a singles match with anyone.
You were the Hain brothers, correct?
Yes.
Cocaine and Sam Hain?
With Judas Thorne.
Who was Sam Hain?
Sam Hain from Southern Ohio, SCW Wrestling, I believe. But in Yokohama Big Brick, or Red Brick, we did a 6-man tag. It was Sam, myself, and Abdullah Kobayashi versus Pondo, Masada, and another guy. I can see his face, but the name escapes me right now. Another, I think he wrestled for JCW several times. Always wore the Juggalo gear and stuff. But in that match, I mainly wrestled Pondo. We matched up quite well, as we did in a lot of the places that we wrestled all over the U.S. and Japan. But Sam got his first taste of Masada that night, and neither Masada nor Sam liked each other after that, I believe. They quelled their differences by the end of the tour, but they did not get along very well, I think, after that match for a couple weeks. And we got matched up against Masada and Pondo, I believe, or maybe somebody else the next night or the next match. And so Masada absolutely refused to wrestle Sam. So Masada and I pretty much matched up against each other for about 15 minutes that night. And that was probably my favorite match of the whole tour.
I'm guessing it was because Masada is pretty stiff and Sam was pretty green at the time. Would that have something to do with it?
Yeah.
Masada is definitely a tough wrestler. I would say, along with Brain Damage and Necro, Masada is one of the top. He's in the top 5 of the toughest guys I've ever personally been in the ring.
I would have to agree with you on that. Another good match, maybe it wasn't even the match itself, but our final night we wrestled in, what's the name of that theater or venue in Japan? The
famous,
yeah,
Corrigan Hall?
Corrigan Hall. It was our second or third trip there, and I was starting to develop my character, you know, and bring a lot of what I did from the U.S. over there. They didn't allow, I thought, very much freedom of character, and I did not ask permission, nor did I seek permission. And that night, I told Sam that we were going to go through the fans entrance instead of the normal heel entrance, and I went through the crowd and kicked over a lot of chairs and threw chairs at fans and just became the ruthless Deranged that I had kind of started developing in Detroit throughout earlier in my career.
Now, if I remember correctly, Bruiser Brody would take a chain and swing it above his head and run through the crowd, and they would scatter. And if they didn't scatter, the chain would hit them. So that's custom over there for crazy American wrestlers to destroy the fans. That's just sort of the way things go.
After the match, I found myself in a room under Corrigan Hall filled with Yakuza that night. And that is not a fun experience.
And they were angry.
They were angry.
And Pondo, being the American boss at the time, was he in the room with you when it happened?
Not at first. But he did make his way there, and thank God he got me out of there. Yes, he calmed things down. I think once they saw fan reaction and stuff, and it was okay, but at first.
Somebody told me a story one time how they had to stay in their hotel room for days. I believe it was Sabu. He took a purse, knocked a purse out of a woman's hands or something, but it was a Yakuza wife or girlfriend or something, and they had him on lockdown in the hotel until they straightened the situation out. So when you wrestle in Japan, especially for Big Japan Pro Wrestling, you do wrestle for the Mafia. They pay the bills for you while you're over there, so you gotta behave and be on their terms. But they want you to bleed a lot, and they want you to destroy yourself. So it's no difference than the American deathmatch promoters.
Yeah.
CZW, did you enjoy your time there?
No comment.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. I did enjoy my time, but I plead the fifth and I say it is what it is.
You've had debates about that, I'm sure.
To say the least.
I did win King of the Death. I never won CZW's Tournament of Death, but I did partake in both. Are there any offshoot deathmatch tournaments that you participated in? I participated in Brink of Death, and I was actually the Brink of Death 3 champion. I did one called Death in the Valley.
I did participate in Tournament of Death 1 or 2 years, I believe. I won IWA East Coast Masters of Pain
I
tournament.
did also. I didn't
2007.
win it. I didn't win it, but I participated in the Masters of Pain.
What was the deathmatch tournament that we did in Delaware for Hellaware Assassin?
Did it even have a name? Was it
I
called
don't know.
anything?
I think it did.
It was Hellaware Championship Wrestling.
I did not even remember that.
It was Hellaware Championship Wrestling, but I don't know if it had a particular name for the tournament.
I think that was the night of the infamous
Road Stop.
road stop.
And when Necro Butcher is lying in the bed of a truck with a fifth of Maker's Mark bourbon, I guess the cop realizes he better let us pass on. That might have been the reason we were able to pass on that evening and get out of there without
It could be.
any more confusion. The cop sees Necro Butcher with a gauze wrapped around his head and says, "What happened to you?" And Necro says, "It's a long story, man," while holding the fifth of bourbon in his hand. I think the cop realized he better just let us pass. Any other stories you want to talk about while I have you here? Or?
We should write a book, I think, from all the travels. We would be here until probably tomorrow at this time if we talked about all the stories, and not even just stories, but just the unique ones that stood out.
I thank Deranged for being my guest this evening on the vlog, and we'll bring him back again sometime in the future. If you have any questions for him, just relay them to me. I'll make sure to get them answered. And have a good evening. Hoo!